Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the News channel. Today I am going to continue the final video on Chapter 2 of Economic Survey 2025. So we all know that second chapter of Economic Survey is dealing with the financial sector and financial sector developments in the country in the last 1 year and how this financial sector is positioned. So far in this second video I have made 3 classes. In this second chapter I have made 3 classes. First one is a brief description about the entire second chapter. The second video was I have discussed something about the Indian banking sector in the country, and today I am going to continue with the remaining financial segments of the country. Particularly, I will be discussing about the components of other financial intermediaries. So if you look at financial intermediaries in the country, we have many financial intermediaries starting with the banks. Apart from banks, you also have non-banking financial institutions that are also covered under the banks itself. Subsequently, when you go for the other things, such as the so-called stock markets, insurance segments, and the pension segments, so these 3 are covered in today's discussion. They have also discussed about what are the challenges in the Indian financial sector, what is the role of regulators in regulating this financial segment. All these together were discussed in this topic. Along with this, what is the landscape of Indian financial sector in the upcoming days that they have given in these videos. So this video will be briefly discussing about those aspects. I will continue this, and with this second chapter will be completed. Subsequently, I go to the third chapter. So let me give you a quick overview about what they have discussed in this chapter remaining regarding to the so-called insurance sector, pensions, and the cyber security issues, the landscape of Indian financial sector, and the role of regulators. These are the 5 things. So let's start with the capital market. So we know that capital markets are classified into 2 types depending upon the freshness of the security, that is primary markets and secondary markets. Primary markets are those markets where the corporates will be issuing the initial public offers and follow-on public offers. Then we'll also have the so-called debt market, corporate debt market and public debt market in the primary markets. So that is the first segment that is covered here. The second one is they speak about secondary markets. We all know that secondary markets are those markets where the purchased shares are being bought and sold among the investors. Subsequent purchase and sale of shares will happen. So this is called secondary market, and in the secondary markets we discuss about the so-called the role of SEBI, the role of these markets, particularly the National Stock Exchange, how it is performing, the Bombay Stock Exchange, how it is performing in the context of global secondary markets, particularly after Mr. Trump has come to power in USA. How this segment of secondary sector has altogether changed. That is what they have discussed, and they have also spoken beautifully about what are the emerging threats for the Indian secondary market segments, particularly in the stock exchanges. So this is the first aspect of the day. So to start with the primary markets have shown a substantial increase in the so-called the total number of investors. The investors base in the country has substantially increased, and today if you look at who are entering into this IPOs and FPOs, this is government as well as privates are asking for government money in the form of IPOs and FPOs. And if you look at the investors participation have been substantially increased due to the participation of majority of the youth in the country in this primary markets. Hence primary markets has shown substantial input or substantial increase in its growth rate, be it in the money that they have collected in the form of IPOs, in the form of FPOs. When you go to the corporate debt market compared to the world, the debt market in the country is very, very poor, somewhere around 12% when the rest of the world is going at 80%. So the debt market in India is very poor. Even in this debt market, who is dominating, whether it is government or private sector? It is private sector debt market which is substantially high in the country compared to the so-called government. What do I mean by that? Government are borrowing very less in the country compared to the private counterparts. So private people are borrowing somewhere around 80% in the entire market, whereas government is borrowing just to 20%. That is the scale of the so-called corporate debt market or the debt market in the country. But when it comes to the IPOs and FPOs, there has been a substantial rise in the IPOs and FPOs, and India is also acting as a global destination for IPOs. What does this mean? The other countries are also entering into Indian market through direct participation or through depository receipts participation. They are coming into the markets and they are issuing their shares, initial public offers or secondary public offers, that is follow-on public offers. Substantially outside countries are also picking up lot of money from India. So India is having emerging IPO base, India is having emerging FPO base, as well as the foreign countries are coming and investing in India or collecting money from India. This shows that the foreigners or foreign companies are trusting India as an avenue to raise the money. This is one greatest achievement that India has shown in the past few years after COVID-19. Going to the secondary market where you have National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange. Out of all the stock exchanges in the world, it is BSE and NSE which has performed beautifully in the last 1 year, followed by USA. But if you look at after November 2024, when President Trump has been elected for the second time as a president, there has been a slow shift of investors from India or from other countries, and they started going and investing in the stock markets of USA. Particularly, they have started investing in the global companies of USA, particularly like SpaceX, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Metaverse, all these things they have been investing. So a major chunk of investments has been attracted by Mr. Trump administration or America under Trump. And in this also, we see a lot amount of chunk is redistributed among the top few companies in America. So this is what it has happened in the second half of 2024 or in the financial year 2025 second half. So this is what we can observe. But nonetheless, what we can observe is the number of people who have entered into the stock markets in the country has increased substantially. And if you look at the age group through which these people are entering, majority of the people belong to this age group, that is the age of somewhere around 25 to 30 years of age. These are the segments of population who have been increasing in the country to enter here. After that, subsequently, if you go for some other things like this is about secondary market. If you go for insurance market is also rising. The total amount of premium in the country has increased to 7.7% in the last financial year. And according to the estimates of International Monetary Fund and other reports, Swiss insurance segments, in the next 4 years, between 2024 to 2028, among all the Z20 countries, India is going to be the top insurance market at a growth of 11.1%. This is what the other parameter that comes as far as insurance segment is considered. The total amount of premiums that have been collected in the country has increased substantially, and we all know that insurance is of two types. One is the life insurance, the second one is the non-life insurance. The life insurance has been substantially increased, non-life insurance premium have been increased. And we all know that if you want to measure the penetration of insurance in a country, we have two parameters. The first parameter is insurance penetration, the second parameter is insurance density. Now, what is insurance penetration? Insurance penetration is total premium in comparison with the total GDP of the country. When it comes to the insurance density, what is the total premium to total population of this country? If you look at the total penetration of insurance segment in the countries, this total insurance penetration has substantially or a little bit, it has decreased from 4% in the financial year 2023 to 3.7% in the financial year 2024. This is another notification, or this is another notice that it has been given in the insurance segment as per as economic survey is considered. Hence, if you look at the so-called insurance penetration, the insurance penetration has decreased in this 2 years between financial year 23 and 24 from 4% to 3.7%. And if you observe in which part it has decreased, it is after COVID-19, the insurance, life insurance segment penetration has decreased compared to the non-life insurance segment. So life insurance segment has decreased from 3% to 2.8%, whereas in the non-life segment it is almost equal, or it is continuing with the same flow of 1%. This is another observation from economic survey as far as insurance penetration is considered. When you go for insurance density, which is measured, by the way, to the premium to total GDP of the country, insurance density is more or less, again, it has increased substantially from $92 to $95. Again, here, if we look, the non-life insurance segment is stable at $17. The whereas the life insurance segment density has increased from 23 rupees to 25 rupees subsequently in the financial years 23 to financial year 24. These are some other observations that we find in the insurance segment, and as I said, Indian insurance market is bound to expand thanks to the various insurance policies that the general insurance companies have bought and life insurance LIC has bought in the country. That is another observation that economic survey has said about insurance segment. Just like the banking segment, the primary and secondary markets, even the insurance markets are in the uptrend. The only thing is in the insurance, if you look at the so-called total penetration, there has been a slight decrease, but otherwise the rest of the things are equally good. Going to the pension market. If you go for the pension market, one of the major achievements of the pension market is there has been a gradual increase in the total number of people who are subscribing to non-pensions, national pension scheme. We know that national pension scheme was earlier, it was only for the government employees, but from 2009 under NPS Lite it was open to everyone. That is called NPS Swavalamban, and in the year 2023 Government of India has also permitted the minors to enter into the pension scheme, whereby the guardians of the minors can open some pension accounts for the minor children below 18 years of age. That is called NPS Vatsalya. Apart from that, people who have the capacity to invest during their working age, Government of India had launched in the year 2015 Atal Pension Yojana, and in the year 2021 they have launched Mandhan Yojanas, that is Pradhan Mantri Kisan Mandhan Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan, and then we find Lagu Vyapari Mandhan. So because of all these Mandhan Yojanas, insurance segments, and particularly Government of India's focus on the life insurance and the life insurance in the form of Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, accidental insurance in the form of Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, and then health insurance that the Government of India has launched through Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana under Ayushman Bharat scheme, and the farm pensions, that farm insurance that the Government of India has given, has also acted as one of the most important segments as far as the rise of pension scheme is considered. So particularly in the pension scheme, we have these pension schemes, that is the Mandhan Yojanas, Atal Pension Yojana, and the so-called National Pension Scheme, which the Government of India has launched. And in the National Pension Scheme, we know that from 2024, based on Mr. T.V. Subramaniam Committee recommendations, Government of India has come out with a new pension scheme known as Unified Pension Scheme. Under this Unified Pension Scheme, what are the modalities that we find, ladies and gentlemen? The modalities are the contribution from the employee side will be the same 10%, whereas the contribution from the employer, that is government, they have increased from 14% to 18.5%. And there is a minimum assured pension under the Unified Pension Scheme of 10,000 rupees if you have worked for at least 10 years of service in government. And if you have worked up to 25 years, you will be receiving half of the last drawn salary, which will be calculated based on the 12 months average before your retirement. So that is the next thing that they had. And the third thing that they said is, if an employee is unfortunately dying when they were in office, government office, obviously the family is going to receive 60% of the pensions, the spouse is going to receive 60% of the pensions as family support. So these are some mechanisms which are available. Along with this, one beauty of this Unified Pension Scheme is the pension is not fixed, it will be variable depending upon the inflation in the country, which will be fixed by CPI, Industrial Workers Inflation. All this we know, and this was based on Swaminathan Committee, TV Swaminathan Committee, and based on this committee recommendations, Government of India has brought it out. This is a very optional scheme, whether you want to continue with the old pension scheme, government employees, they can continue it, or if they want to go for new pension scheme, they can go ahead with it. It is up to the so-called government employees, but that is going to be implemented from April 2025, that is this financial year, April 2026, that is going to be launched. So these are the various things that Government of India has focused on pensions. Now moving to the what are emerging trends or emerging problems as far as financial segment is considered. One of the most important problem that Government of India in this economic survey has pointed out is the rising cyber attacks. There has been increasing threats due to the digital penetration in the country. Cyber security challenges have been emerging. What are those various cyber security challenges that we see? We see something like DTOT, digital distributed attacks, next SMSing, then we find something like cyber jacking, then we find some attacks which are targeting the so-called through this pin stealing, pin theft. These are the things that are emerging. and how India is prepared accordingly. In order to make India ready for that, we already have some cyber laws in the country, such as National Cyber Security Policy, which was launched in the year 2013. We have CERT, Computer Emergency Response Team, under the Ministry of Home Affairs, which is looking at this matter. All these agencies are coordinating and cooperating. Inside the financial segments, you have regulators like RBI, SEBI. You have PFRDA and IRDA, which are coordinating with the IFSC, International Indian Financial Stability Council or Security Council. These people are coordinating and cooperating here. Now, this economic survey has also spoken about something about GIFT City, JAFT. What is this GIFT City? We all know that GIFT City is Gujarat International Fintech Company, which is coordinating all the international financial related matters in the country at this place, and it is considered as a special economic zone type of thing. For those who are interested in doing business in this cyber security, GIFT City, this is just like Cyber City in Hyderabad. We'll have this GIFT City, or we have this GIFT City, and it is functioning decently well in the country. This is another thing that economic survey has pointed out, and GIFT City has created a number of opportunities in the country, particularly in pooling the global investments, in pooling the global support mechanism, enhancing the technology, and minimizing the compliance norms, because it is altogether considered as a special economic zone, and as a result, India is also developing as the major global investor in the country. This is another observation that they have done. And the last segment that this chapter deals with is, what is the role of regulators in Indian financial sector? If you look at the regulators, we have different types of regulators in the country. The regulators are depending upon different functions they are doing. So the regulators will be there for financial segment in the form of banks. There are regulators in the health sector. There are regulators in the social sector. There are regulators as far as other sectors are considered. But when it comes to the financial sector, as we are discussing about the financial sector, the regulators in the financial sectors are banks. You find SEBI, you find IRDA, you find PFRDA and Financial Stability Development Council, under which all these four will be under this council, which is headed by Finance Minister, by the way. So these people have to play a very proactive role in the upcoming days in order to ensure that Indian market is sustainable, Indian financial segment is going in a very correct path. This is what the brief description about the second chapter, the remaining aspects of second chapter is there. So, overall, this second chapter contains 91 paragraphs. First 40 paragraphs is regarding the so-called banks. The last 50 paragraphs is about the so-called non-banking financial institutions, or something like pensions and the so-called insurance segments. This is what that they have covered in this topic. So this is what we have. Let me please allow me to share the screen. We just have a look at what are those aspects that we have here before getting some rough idea. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there has been some technical issue in sharing that screen. So no problem. In my next class, I'll just give a quick rough estimates about the second chapter altogether. But this is what the second chapter contains: banks, stock markets, insurance market, pension markets, regulators, cyber security problems, gift city. These are the things that we have. In the next class, I will make a quick recap about what is there in the second chapter altogether under the banner of the horse and the cart. The rest of the things I will go for the third chapter subsequently. Thanks for joining. Have a great day. Wish you all the best for the upcoming exams. Take care. See you very soon.